Welcome back, everybody. Let's get some cameras on. Don't be afraid. I will ask you to read, and you will just make noises with your mouth. Right, Francisco? I'm still curious about who's chasing you down the street, being afraid of things. I'm going to ask you about that later. That was probably one of the weirdest comments I've seen in a chat in a long time. All right. Just turn on your camera and participate. All right. It's good for you. So where we are is we're wrapping up our discussion, Pabonka's discussion on meditation, and he's giving us some final advices of what to do and what not to do. Um, it's quite possible that we will finish the meditation chapter today. I doubt it, but we'll be very, very close. And if we don't finish it, we will definitely finish next time and then move into what the point of shamatha is, which is to direct our minds to emptiness. Direct our minds, our perception, to put the object of emptiness, which is an absence of things not coming from seeds. Excuse me, things that are not coming from seeds, right? Where you recognize that the things that are happening in your world are coming from seeds. And that things that you believe that aren't coming from seeds, the absence of that is emptiness, right? So we take the power of shamatha and focus it on that idea, focus it on that aspect. And I learned something really cool last night that I want to share, and was there too. And there's two ways to get at emptiness. Okay. Well, there's many ways, but I'm going to divide it into two because that's how I'm doing it today. Okay. There's two ways to get there. One is like through direct teaching. Like one is through like, oh, we're going to talk about emptiness. Here's the definition of emptiness. Here's what it is. Here's what it's not. It can't really be anything because it's an absence. Give you all the mental gymnastics to do. And then give you all the tools to get to it. Like, I don't know, like shamatha, for example. And then teach you all the things that dependent origination is, and seeing the seed open. Or when you look at the stove and you're like, I'm not looking at the pot on the stove, I'm looking at an perfect image in my mind that was only seen as colors and shapes by my eyes. Right. And then I can go through a long explanation of what those things are, what what is the chi, what is the chedrak, what are all of those things. And that's one way, and that's called like teaching directly. Right. And then the second way is called, for lack of better words, is like teaching through a medium, like a path or a way to do it. So, and the difference would be like, the difference would be if I'm trying to teach you directly about seeing emptiness, I tell you all the things that emptiness is, right? Would be like saying, hey, like if we only lived in Arizona and we never saw the ocean. And I was like, you guys got to see the ocean. The ocean is freaking amazing. And you're like, Tim, what's an ocean? Huge body of water, There's these waves, there's these birds, there's sand, you know, you can go in the water, it's enormous. I'm trying to describe all the cool things. It's sublime. It's all those things. And I'm describing to you what the ocean is like. And you're like, I want that. I want to go see the ocean. And I'm like, okay, this is, here's what the ocean's like. Or we could hang out here in Arizona and be like, let's go somewhere. And you're like, where are we going? And I'm like, don't worry about it. I'm going to tell you where it is. I'm going to tell you, we're going to see this thing called the ocean. But instead of teaching you all the cool qualities of the ocean, I teach you how to go from here in Arizona to the ocean. And we go step by step. Okay, we get in a car, we drive down the driveway, then we turn right. And then we go down to the bottom of the hill. And then we turn right to Peachtree Cafe. And then we get a coffee. And then we turn around. And then we go down the road. Then we get on the highway over there. And then we turn left. Then we go down the highway to Phoenix. And then we turn right. And then we go down that highway, right? And then we get off at this exit. And then we go around that red light. And then we go over here. And then we drive by the houses over there. And then you do this little loopy thing. And then you go down a hill. And then we'll be at the ocean. Okay. So that way of teaching is like, here are all the things you can do. If you do those things, you don't have to think about the ocean. All you need to think about is each thing to do. And then you will automatically be at the ocean. Okay. And that's the difference between Sutra and Tantra. We start with the idea of everything that you want to do. This is what it's like. This is what we want to get to. We want to get to enlightenment. We want to become Buddhas. Okay, how do we do that? Well, we have to become Aryas. Well, how do we do that? Well, you have to see dependent origination first. Well, how do I do that? Well, then I have to understand that the mind is empty. And then how do I do that? Well, then I need to understand how objects are empty. Well, how do I do that? Well, then someone needs to teach me the pen. Well, how do I do that? Well, then I need something like renunciation. Sorry, translators. Got too excited. Well, how do I get the renunciation? Well, then I need some kind of tragedy in my life. Hi, Sarah. Welcome. Okay. Well, then how do I progress on that path? Well, you need a teacher. Okay, you found a teacher. Then you have to understand leisure and fortune. Okay. It's lucky that I'm able to study Dharma. Yes, it is. Then I need to understand karma. Then I need to understand, or before that, the impermanence of life. You have to understand death, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? Here are all the things you need to do. Right? And you do need to do those things. And once you have that foundation, then you could go to YSI and go through this step by step, and you'll see emptiness directly. Or then you go step by step through the Diamond Way, and you have to do, of course, you need to know what you're doing, and you have to know about emptiness. But if you follow the instructions and just go down the hill and then turn right, and then turn left at the bottom of that hill, and don't forget to stop at Peachtree Cafe along the way, right? Then you'll get to the ocean. I just give you the list of instructions, and then you just get to the ocean. So that's what we're doing, right? We're actually kind of mixing both of those together, right? Like if you can get shamatha, then you can just put emptiness as the object, right? Just right? Just do this. No big freaking deal, Tim. Just get shamatha and then just relax, you know, no big deal. And if you practice and you put all of those things in play, then yes, you can get shamatha. You know, if you want to disqualify yourself from shamatha, how do you disqualify yourself? Just don't meditate. you know, fine, good. Learn all the instructions and just don't do it. Great. You know, or you can do it. And there's nothing I can do to make you do it. You know, I can just show the door to it. You know, and I'm on the path to it. It's not like I'm this like crazy shamatha meditator. It's hard, it's difficult, and you get tastes of it. It's like, it's just like the rainbow sprinkles on ice cream, right? Like you just get some rainbow sprinkles, but you don't get all the ice cream right away. And you start building the capacity to get the whole, that we say in English, the whole enchilada. Like you get the whole ice cream cone, but if you're not doing it, then I can't help you. Right. And then the thing, what happens is as you're doing it, I know we're not doing the translation, we're not going to get it done, and I don't care. That's why it's called Living Lam Rim. This isn't just a boring translation class. Dry translation class. Let's say that. What happens when you start meditating and you start meditating well is that you start unraveling yourself. You unravel the self, and that self that's being held together by your negative emotions that have been there for, I don't know, lifetimes. If you're lucky, a few, but probably millions or billions, or I don't know. When you start unraveling what the self is, you start unraveling those things that you're holding onto as part of you. And you're going to have meltdownable moments. Because then all of a sudden the thing that you're holding on to, you realize you have to let go, but you realize that that's been part of you for so long. And then who can you be without it? That's the best part of negativities. Or if there's all different terms in psychology for the same thing. We like holding on to the hot coal, and then we like screaming about it. My hand hurts. Yeah, because you're holding on to something hot. Let go. But my hand hurts too much to let go. Okay. Right. But then that's the process. And then you need to find a teacher who can like hug you while you're holding on to that hot coal. Right. And eventually you'll let go of it. Then you let go of it and you tell your teacher, like, I discovered I was holding onto a hot coal. And they're like, good. They saw you burning your hand, just you weren't seeing it. But that's the process, and it gets difficult, and you don't give up. When it gets hard, don't give up. That's the message. Because it will be hard. I'm sorry. I wish I could say it's different, but there will be difficult moments or difficult years. I was talking with Hector Marcel last night. He's here in Sedona, the founder, well, the current president of the board of Three Jewels, and who took it over in 2012, I think, something like that. And he said, "How was your 2024?" And I was like, "Well, there were some good things, Hector, and it was a difficult, partially disastrous year." And he was like, "Oh my God, it was so terrible for me too. Can I talk to you about it?" And I was like, "Oh, I have a friend. We're going to go have coffee." And he's a phenomenal practitioner, right? He's a beautiful man, and he's created a wonderful community that's growing, like it's growing itself now. He had a hard year in his practice. Cool. Me too. Let's go talk about it. Right. And then if you stick with it, I remember one of my teachers, I was sitting in Korea, of all places, and we were having dinner, and I was just sort of going through all the things I was experiencing and the difficulties of it all. And she was so perfect. She said, "You could just quit, Tim." And I was like, "What?" Because I was like, Tim doesn't quit things. It is, and I was like, wait, what? And she goes, "You could just quit, and then you would have a really good life." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And she said, "You've been serving the Dharma for 15 years. Those good seeds have to ripen. So you could just give up right now, and all those good seeds would ripen, and you would have a really, really good life." And I was like, and then something like inside me relaxed, and I was like, "Oh, I could leave. I don't have to suffer anymore." And then I thought, I was like, whoa, wait a second. But those seeds would wear out. And she was like, uh-huh. And I said, well, what are my other options? And she said, but if you stick with it, what's on the other side of this thing you're purifying will be amazing, and more amazing than you could even imagine. And then you just keep going. And I asked her about her experience and things that she struggled with. And she's older now and she has cancer now. And it's like, I'm like, well, how do you deal with that? And she said, "Do you think I'm my body?" I was like, "What?" Like, and she's like, "No." She's like, "You're misunderstanding what happens to the body. Even in the higher practices, like turning into a Buddha or turning into a rainbow body or whatever the hell that means." She's like, "You're misunderstanding it." She's like, "This body has to go." And I was like, "All right, let's have dinner. This is too much. I'm done." Right? That's too much, for me to process. But really, it was like, that's what Lam Rim does to you. Each step of the way will bring about a tremendous could bring about a tremendously beautiful result that you couldn't even imagine, but could also be more difficult than you ever have dealt with anything in your life. So like, but what's on the other side? Like, what's the promise on the other side? That's what we're trying to get to. And that's why we need each other, right? So if you're having a bad time or having a difficult time, or it's just, it doesn't seem like anything's working the way you think, maybe it is working. That's my message for you in Lam Rim. It is working for you, especially if you're doing your practices. Just find people who can support you, you know, who understand what's going on and can say, just keep going. So let's keep going. So we stopped on this line here, which is from a sutra called "The Praise of That Thing That Deserves Praise." The praising of the thing that deserves praise. Right. And I think all of you should praise yourself because you deserve praise. you know, what you're trying to do is not normal. So I would say praise yourself a little bit more. So in this verse here, we're actually talking more about the platform of shamatha is a very, very deep state of meditation. In fact, your mind has moved into a state of mind that is on the beginning part of the first level of the form realm. Good luck, translators. Okay. And then what we're discussing right now is if you go deeper, you're not actually helping yourself. You can go deeper into these meditations where you're letting go of more and more things that are requiring effort and distraction, right? Because as you move up to the form realm and the formless realm, even just as a causal meditation, or then if you have the result and get reborn in those places, things are easier and easier. There's less and less distraction, less and less effort, more and more blissed out, but blissed out in a way that's samsaric, that will eventually turn itself back on itself, and then you'll have to go through the whole process again. So what we're saying here is that you could keep going and achieve the thing called the peak of existence, Sise, which is a meditation / result. But all you're going to be doing is circling around, right? So Pabonka Rinpoche is giving us a lot of things to watch out for, because it'll feel amazing. You will love it. You will not want, you will think it's an achievement. You will not want to go elsewhere. But you have to recognize that, oh, keep moving forward, keep moving forward. So you had a crappy day yesterday, right? What's the message in it? And just keep moving forward, right? You could stay in the crappy day, or you can move on, right? Take the lesson and move on. So let's go to the next thing Pabonka says to us to warn us of the dangers of meditation. Let's see. Eka, how about you? You haven't read for a while.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dole. Jikten dakni tingzin gomche kyang. Deni daktu dushe jikmiche. Deni nyomong chirshing raptruk. Te. Chlakchoki ti tingzin dirkop shin.
Nice. Good job. Where do you live? What city are you in?
For the moment, I'm in Moscow, but for 4 years, I'm living in Corsica, France.
Corsica. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So are you just chilling out in Moscow right now, or are you?
Yeah, chilling out. Yeah, I'm missing some snow. Probably.
Yes. It's probably cold as anything right now. Cool. Thank you. Thanks for reading too. So here we go. In these lines in scripture, okay. Let's see here. Those people of this world, Jikten Dak Ni, all right. They're trying, or they're doing some meditation on concentration. Okay, so we're talking about people in this world, they're trying to do meditations. Okay. But Kyung, from doing that meditation, it does not, Miche, does not do anything to destroy Dushe, their conception of self, Daktu. Okay. So by being in the world, we have to be careful what we say about other meditation schools and other groups that are meditating, and what's valuable and what's not valuable. We don't really know, and lots of practices are good preliminaries to get into deeper practices. But those people who are really attached to this world, right, they haven't realized that this is just a rock floating through the solar system, right, flowing through a galaxy that's flowing through empty space. Those meditations don't do anything to destroy the Dr. Dushe, the conception of self, and a self-existent self. But what it does do, cheer no nungmong cheer, what that does do is it feeds their mental afflictions, and it causes sort of a chaotic mind, right? If you're not able to destroy the conception of yourself through meditation, through emptiness, through karma, all those things, it'll just feed your negative emotions, and it'll just create more and more chaos of the mind, because the mind that thinks that it's coming from itself, right, and therefore the world is, eventually just continues on in confusion and chaos. We're lucky that we're humans. We're lucky that we have a continuity of experience to be able to think about these things and practice them. There's other beings who have so much chaos in their mind that they don't have any continuity whatsoever. So there's not even a capacity to even think about, well, I wonder if that's coming from me. No, they're not thinking that way. And a lot of humans aren't thinking that way either. And then it's what he finishes up by saying is that it's like what Udraka Lakcha did in his meditation, in his own version of concentration. Okay, who is this guy? We'll talk about it in a second. So we're getting an example of somebody. So let's figure out who is this person who did something in meditation that just fed his negative emotions and created more confusion. Okay, let's see what he has to say. How about Laura? You're next.
Okay. Chela Jotki Ritsem Yam Sakla Lomang for Ne Kapralpa Chiwe was sorry here was Sopa
Wei
Chiwe Sopa Chirtongne Croste something
True. It's a weird.
Trote
Yeah, good.
Samte Yamne Gan Song Du Songwar Sungpal Ta Wuyin Sung Tao Wuyin Sung.
Tabu Yin Sung, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So what did he do? So this guy, Lakcha, all right, he remained a long time, Mangport Ne remained a long time, his mind, low. He maintained a long time in Namshak, balanced meditation. Notice he didn't say shamatha. Balanced meditation, which is a balance between agitation and dullness, at the level of Sise. So spent a long time hanging out there. Okay. Just want to check on one word here that I forget. Yeah. Okay. And so while he was in meditation, okay, a rat, Chiwa, okay, ate. Okay. So imagine a guy who's in meditation for many, many years. And then, because he's in such good meditation for such a long time, his hair grows really long, right? And then, his hair's grown really long and it turns into dreadlocks. And he's like, hanging out in meditation, hair is long at the peak of existence, right? So just how you can kind of imagine. And so like Rapa means dreadlocks or like matted hair, like, in so much meditation that, his hair, so just kind of imagine the scenario. So while he's in meditation, because he's in such a good meditator, there might be some pride involved. We'll check it out. A rat chews on his hair, right? And he doesn't notice because, well, he's in deep, deep, deep meditation. So, then he gets pissed off. Okay, comes out of meditation and then gets pissed off when he sees that a rat has eaten his hair, right? And so, because he got so angry, he lost his ability to concentrate. And then he went to a lower realm. Okay. So basically, the meditation at the peak of existence did nothing to remove his negative emotions, his negativities. Sure, while he's in that meditation, he's feeling great. There's no negativity, but comes out and then realizes a rat ate his hair. Then he got pissed off about it. Probably a little prideful. He's like, I wanted everyone to see that I was such a good meditator. My hair is long. Look at this. Look, it's all like, look at how much work I did. Okay. And just catch your mind. Like I remember I did my first retreat and I didn't shave at all during the retreat because I was like, it's a distraction to shave. Right. And I ended the retreat and I looked in the mirror and I'm like, I had this moment of like, oh, everyone's going to see that I was in a month-long meditation retreat. I want everyone to know that I did such a good job and it was so deep. And I'm such a good meditator and I did what I was supposed to. And I want to be recognized for it. And then they'll recognize me because I have a beard. Right. And then I was like, you're such an idiot, Tim. And so I shaved before I left the meditation. Before I left, I was like, that's such a silly thought. But I had it. I wanted to look special. Like, look how special I am. Same thing. Like, look at what a good meditator I am. Look at how much work I did. I'm so special. I'm meditating more than everybody else. Look at my insight timer, 750 straight days. Do you have 750 straight days on your meditation app? No, but I do. I actually don't. Just as an example. But see, check what your mind does. And if your mind still has those things, you're actually you're like, you still need to purify them. All right, 245. Marina, can you do 245, please? Drupna. Drup. Yes, it's almost a P sound. Drupna. Mm-hmm.
Chikpala Sokpedro Trap Sumkyang Trunk Nupe So Ki Sem Senyantan.
Nice. Good job. I'm going to check one thing first. Okay, cool. All right. However, if we follow the instructions and we arrive at a state of shamatha, right? We can achieve many great qualities. Oh, get out of there. My cat's face is in my water. Oh, that's why. Hold on. I'm like, why is your face in my water? Because the water is not working. I know, you're thirsty. So if we follow the instructions, you're going to get some really good qualities of things. What are some of those good qualities? All right. First of all, we might get so much clarity, okay, that would be able to say here a semsa, right? Mental clarity. That we would be able to count, okay, the individual atoms that are in the wall in front of us. Like, I'm not sure why that's an important quality, but hold on just a second. She's thirsty. Okay. But apparently that's a personal quality. Like, imagine what you could do if you had such mental clarity that you could count the number of atoms in the wall. Not particularly a useful thing as a bodhisattva to count the atoms in the wall. But what kind of mental clarity would that be when you are looking at someone else who's suffering? Like, if you were able to achieve shamatha and then be with someone else, right? Sit with somebody else, be able to sit with their suffering, be able to help them, right? There's something really powerful about that. Like, what if you could look into someone and be like, oh, I see why you're suffering. I can see the hot coals that you're holding on to. I can see the negativities that are floating around inside. And I can see how much that hurts you and how much pain you have, right? People are in pain, period. Like, if we were to make a list right now of everything that's painful, each of you write 3 things in the chat that are painful to you right now, emotionally or physically. We would fill that up in a hot second, right? We all have pain. We all have suffering. It's just we don't see it in other people. We see a smile and we're like, oh, that person's fine. Maybe that person is smiling because they recognize the suffering in others and themselves, and they're like, that's the best thing to do, even though I'm in deep pain right now. And with deep meditation, you're able to see that in people, and you're able to see beyond like, most of the time when people react to things, it's because they're in pain about something else. It has nothing to do with what happened. It was just a trigger. It's like a contributing factor, which seems like the cause, but it wasn't the cause. But shamatha can help you see those things for people and help them. That's why you want it, not because it's, sure, you might want to see emptiness directly, but these are all the things that are going to provide you for the, I'm hesitant to say that. Those are the kind of things that can provide material causes for you to be able to see emptiness directly in the shamatha that you have. And in fact, probably the shamatha you have is caused by even just your wish to be able to do that for people. Like, to sit with somebody and be like, what is really going on with you? And just trying. And I had a conversation yesterday with someone who's really good at it, but doesn't think they are. And I'm like, no, you're great at that. That's what you're developing. You're developing a bodhicitta. You're developing a deep awareness of what someone needs. What's more valuable, getting the task list done or sitting with someone and understanding what their deep pain is about? Don't diamond deal yourself, Tim. Both are important. But being able to look at someone and understand what that pain about is probably more valuable than checking something off a checklist. But I'm also the boss. I have employees, and if they don't check the things off their checklist, I'm not happy. So figure that out at the end of the day. All right, 247. Who's next? How about Teresa?
Right. Nyun Mung Kewa Nyung Shing Ke Kyang Chuksan Padang Ne Cha Tukpa Yi Kyang Ting Ye Nzin Dang Dre Ro Wa Nyam Che Pa Soki Yong Tan Yong
Yung Ten Jung.
Yun Ten Jung.
Yes. So this little owl here it makes it more pre-nasally. So like Yun Ten, like almost extend that N. Yun Ten Jung.
Yun Ten Jung.
So the difference, there's to come out of so basically the without the owl is past tense. Okay. With the owl, it means it's more of the present or future. Okay. So just so you know, there's like it will give an indicator to the listener. Yun Ten Jung. All right. So what are we saying here? So what happens here is that we develop a lesser attraction to things. All right. And so there's this thing where somehow in your mind you begin to develop the capacity to bring to mind the 10 problems. Okay. Like we call them the 10 problems of things. All right. And it's not all listed here, and that's why I'm going to kind of explain them. Like there's problems that have to do with the 5 objects of the senses. All right. So anything that comes from the outer forms all the way inwards is one of the 10 signs that things are things. Okay. That's what it means. And then there's 3 different signs or indicators of the 3 poisons. All right. And then there's 2 indicators represented by the differentiation of physical sex of the male and female, which also can mean the male and female energies as well, which can also be entirely unrelated to physical sex as well. Right. So what happens in meditation is that because your Sheshan is so strong, because your Drempa, the pulling back to the object of meditation, when you're in shamatha, you have this power of directing your mind only towards virtuous things. So you're able to keep your mind on virtuous things and avoid things that are non-virtuous, like the 10 signs, like the lack of attraction to stuff that comes through the 5 senses, or through the 3 poisons, like ignorant liking, ignorant disliking, and ignorance in general. And then the 2 things, the calling it a distraction of the distinction between male and female. Okay. And you got to think about that a little bit. But you're able to direct your mind away from those things. And even when you're not in shamatha, when those things start happening, you're just like, whoa, wait a second. You become so adept and habituated to it that you're able to keep it at bay, right? You're able to understand what's going on. It's pretty damn cool. 248. Who's next? Natalia. Natalia, we had a really fun, we were talking about all the great work you do for us on the websites, and us non-Slavic speakers were laughing at how terrible we were butchering your last name in the meeting.
Okay.
And we had to get some help from Alona and Anastasia on how to say your last name. And even when we tried, we were just terribly awful at it. So but we're just I'm basically saying, more importantly, that we were rejoicing in all the good things you do for ACI. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anytime.
So let's start here at 248.
So long. Okay. Den sen chun chen po dakle ma ten par cik nyun shine shin lei lava chik
Lawa.
lava
Mhm.
chik gi chak sok ki tava sol var lompa dakla sun mong wei
Tung Mong Wa.
sun mong wai
Yeah, Tung Mong Wei. Sorry, you were correct.
sun mong wei shinekyan chun chen mo ne sun pata ui nel ma chik chanka
Chikjunka.
junka.
Nice. Okay, good job.
Thank you.
Okay. So, that's why that didn't make any sense. I feel like we skipped something. Hold on. Something weird happened. Hold on. Okay. All right. Sorry. Okay. Something weird happened. All right. So anyhow, like, the one thing this is what happened. So there's one thing here that even in your sleep, that you feel like you're moving into meditation. Oh, I see what I did. I was so confused. Did you guys notice why I wasn't highlighting anything in this paragraph? I was just sort of talking about it. Because I was looking at my notes and I'm like, none of those words are in my notes. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense because we read the wrong paragraph. I'm sorry. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Something didn't make any sense to me. And I was like, wow, I'm just going to pretend I know what this paragraph says because I was looking at the wrong words on the screen. So let's go back and just make sure we cover everything. That's slightly embarrassing as a teacher, but I explained something correctly, but not for the right paragraph. And I was like, that makes more sense. Let's go to 246. Marina, can you read 246? We're just going to go backwards. Starting here.
So,
Yeah.
Shin sukla sokpe yo nge sen man ga tan tuksungi, senmasuntan, kiepa vume, te sen machukan nan, yang te nimik trenne mi dravatan.
Gawa. Mi gawa tang. So gawa.
Mi dravatan.
Yeah, I know most of you probably know this, but Marina is also another amazing volunteer that we have. And she's been building all of the tech team, from the tech hosts and managing the interpreters for such a long time. And we're we're indebted to you. And we hope that you stay a very, very long time. And you know that she's in every class. Like, she's literally in every class. I don't know how she does it, but thank you very much for everything you do for us. So here we are. This is the last thing that I talked about. Okay. Now it makes a lot more sense. Okay. Here are the 5 signs. Nai senma. Okay. Right. These are the 5 signs of the 5 objects of the senses. Okay. And then we have the 3 poisons. Okay. And then we have the, here we go. Here's the number 10, like the 10 signs of things. Okay. Senma che. So I just want to give you guys the paragraph. I'm like, all of this is actually here. I just was like, I have the notes. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with this paragraph? It's because I was reading the wrong thing. So I just want to let you know it's there. Good job, Tim. Now we have 247, which is the one that we already read that one. And here's the commentary to this one. Cool. So this is when we will start having fewer negative emotions arise, right? And then their power is going to be relatively weak. So even when negative emotions arise for us, they will not have as much power over us. We'll just be like, oh, I'm a little sad. Oh, that kind of hurt a little bit. Okay, I wonder why I have to see that. Right. And then you just kind of move on. And then you check all the ways that you do the same thing to other people and stop doing it. And that's how you purify it. If you want to act like an Arya, when you notice a negative emotion, immediately say, why do I have to see that? One, it stops the negative emotion in its tracks. And then secondly, you go, I'm going to stop doing these things. You do the 4 powers immediately. I must have done this in the past. This has emptiness. I'm forced to see this. I will now stop this, because an Arya is like trying to purify all 84,000 negative emotions minus a few that they stopped at path of seeing. And they make a commitment not to do it again. And then they make a commitment to do the opposite. So if you want to become an Arya, maybe start acting like one. Pretend you already are one, even if you're not. Okay. And because our meditation is so powerful, even in sleep, there it is. Okay. There it is. So even in sleep, we're able to be in meditation. All right. And these are all the benefits that come up. And there are more. Soki. But these are kind of the cool things that happen. Like you just become you just become nicer. Like you become more happy, right? Other people's mental afflictions don't afflict you for too long, or you don't get afflicted about them being afflicted. The worst is when 2 mental afflictions fight each other. It's like 2 self-existent beings seeing the other person in a self-existent way, having a self-existent feeling in the ring, boxing each other. Okay. That's just, it's kind of funny when you look at it. Okay. Now we're on to the one we just read. How much time do we have left? 4 minutes. Okay. This is the one we just read. Okay. So there's some people who engage in certain types of, believe they're engaging in certain types of practices, like Chak and Sok, meaning Mahamudra and Sokchen, etc. All right. There's certain practices, right? But they're not really relying upon Maten. They're not relying upon La, all the great scriptures that describe those beautiful practices of Mahamudra and Sokchen, great completion. So they're really just relying on these things with a little bit of effort. They're not really, they're reading a very little bit. They're not putting in things, right? And they want to make it easy on themselves. Okay. So they just learn a little bit and they're like, oh, let me just do this cool practice. But they don't actually they don't really spend any time trying to master the difficulties of those practices. All right. And so what you find is some people will, I had someone come to me once and was like, Tim, I found this really cool practice. And I was like, oh, really? What is it? And he talked about it. It was actually Sokchen was talking about it. And it was like, I've had so much, made so much progress in my practice. And I was like, oh, okay, well, what is it? Because I heard of it, but I'd never been taught anything. And they started teaching me about it and what you do in meditation. And I was listening and I was like, I started asking questions. And it turned out that this person really didn't know very much about it, but they were having more relaxed experiences and probably hanging out in subtle dullness more than anything else. I didn't. Hey, shh. By the way, I love Germans. I have a 9 o'clock meeting with a German. And why is my face super zoomed in? That's weird. I don't know why. Anyway, it's kind of weird. We have a 9 o'clock meeting and she calls me 30 seconds before the meeting starts. Germans are always on time. It's wonderful. But anyway, so this person was explaining all this to me, and I was like, this doesn't, it felt like they were avoiding some of the more difficult things. And it felt like they weren't really going into the depths of it. And at first I was kind of like, that doesn't really sound like meditation to me. And I didn't say that to the person. I was just, I was supportive. I'm like, if that practice is working for you, great. And then I did a little bit of research in it, and this is what Pabonka will continue with next time on Monday, is that they are very deep and very beautiful practices, right? But if you only get a surface view of it, then you misunderstand what it's actually doing for you. And it's happened to a lot of people. Like I knew someone who somehow had the karma to sit in on a class of Diamond Way partner practice without having any other foundation, learned some cool things, but didn't have the foundation around it and ended up messing up their practice and hurting other people because they didn't know what they were really doing, right? And so it was this That's why we spend so much time in class. That's why we spend so much time talking through things over and over again. Hold on. There. That's why we make sure we have all the details, so you don't hurt yourself or you don't hurt other people, because you can. And mainly it's because you're creating more samsara versus creating more liberation. And you have to always ask yourself that question: is what I'm doing creating more suffering, or is it creating more liberation? Is it purifying my negativities, or is it putting more fire on my negativities? That's why when two people are having negative emotions and then they're arguing about which one is more right, you're just throwing more fire on it. You're just putting more leña, firewood into the fire. You're just making it worse. That's why I run away from afflictions. I'm like, ciao, peace. I'll come back later. So then we can have a different discussion. All right, cool. We're over time. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you. I think we will finish this chapter. How many more verses do we have? We have 10 more. Okay, we will finish this chapter next time. And we will start the emptiness chapter, because I know you guys are all dying to start. So again, thanks for joining. Thank you, everyone who's reading and just tries. All the people that are reading very well now did not read well when they first opened their mouth. It was a bunch of blah, blah. Okay. Just try. Trying is planting the seed for it to work. And then cool things can actually happen. So thanks, everyone. Thank you, Marina. Thank you. Who's Valerie today? Thanks, interpreters, and the rest of the Worldview production team. And we'll see you on Monday. And say goodbye to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We love you.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear
Gracias,
team.
muchas gracias, Tim.
Thank you.
Muchas
Thank
gracias.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Welcome.
谢谢老师，谢谢翻译老师。
Bye.